Thinking of taking your kids on a holiday in Europe? I've gone to Europe with them at least twice a year since they were babies. Even though there were setbacks and jet lag, their amazement when they saw the Eiffel Tower and the Swiss Alps for the first time more than made up for the difficulties. Their early exposure to European cultures, languages, and ideas piqued their interest, which has persisted throughout adulthood. It took me numerous transatlantic flights before I finally mastered the process. Try these suggestions to reduce your vacation stress if you're thinking about taking your family on a trip to Europe. 1. Get up early to beat the crowds. There's no denying that big European cities experience throngs of people during peak season. From London to Rome, starting our days bright and early has proven to be a straightforward yet efficient method of avoiding the lines. At well-known attractions, we are the first to arrive and nearly always find reasonable lineups too. Compare the benefits and drawbacks of hotel rooms as furnished apartments. Compared to staying at a hotel, renting a furnished apartment from a company like Verbier gives more space and a truer representation of local life. Budget-friendly snacks and dinners are simple to prepare in a kitchen or kitchenette. Make sure you do your homework, because there are currently bans on Airbnb in some European cities. Someone else making your bed is a basic component of a vacation for certain families. If you decide to book a hotel room, location is quite important. Prioritizing residential neighborhoods close to parks allows me to enjoy peace and fresh air either before or after sightseeing. 3. Jet lag is unbeatable, but its effects can be mitigated. Travelers of all ages find it exhausting to cross various time zones. I would be wealthy if I had $1 for each time my children woke up wide awake at 3 in the morning following a lengthy travel. The majority of East Coast flights to Europe take off at night. In an effort to get my kids to sleep for at least a few hours during the journey, I always made them brush their teeth and put on their jammies. It was effective at times. Although a magic wand does not exist, sunshine can aid in resetting your body's clock. Searching for a park on the day of our arrival proved to be beneficial. Even while getting some fresh air after spending so much time on an airline doesn't completely eliminate jet lag, it is still helpful. 4. Take into account medium-sized cities while selecting your vacation spot. Is there anyone who likes to handle large crowds while carrying small children? Choose a mid-sized European city for a less hectic cultural experience. Think Rotterdam instead of Amsterdam, with its bustling harbor and cute-shaped buildings, since dupes are all the rage. Dublin is similar to London in that it has many cultural attractions, urban parks, and the same language. 5. Don't ignore the straightforward allure of rural Europe. Small towns can be ideal for children because of their slower rhythms. We used to spend a few weeks in the Provence village of Bonneuves while my kids were in their tween years. I gave them a lot more freedom than I would have in our hometown of New York City because there was scarcely any traffic and everyone seemed to know each other. Compared to a city vacation, walking alone to the playground in Boulangerie expanded their horizons quite differently. 6. If at all feasible, plan your trip during the less busy low season. Low-season travel is becoming more popular because of the less crowds and cheaper costs. We traveled in late fall, winter, and early spring when my kids were in preschool, and it saved us a ton of money. Sadly, travel during the off-season conflicts with the academic timetable. After my kids entered primary school, we began organizing Thanksgiving week getaways. Traveling from the United States to many European places is typically less expensive than flying domestically, and it's not a holiday in Europe. 7. Involve the kids in the planning of the trip. Your kids will be more engaged in your European holiday if you solicit their opinions and incorporate their hobbies into the schedule. My children adore ice cream. In middle school, they looked up the best gelato places in Rome. During the gelato crawl of a lifetime, we indulged in decadent cones while taking in the sights of the Colosseum and refrain from packing too much into your calendar. While it's natural to want to see as much as you can, try not to overbook your time. Excessive stimulation almost always results in irritable moods and tantrums, especially in the initial days when jet lag is at its worst. You can enjoy the moment more if you move more slowly. Explore one museum thoroughly as opposed to 3 to obtain a more profound understanding, rather than a summary fit for Reader's Digest. 9. You won't ever regret making relaxation a priority. Unstructured time can be a powerful countermeasure against overstimulation. Space out attractions with leisurely strolls or playground breaks. 10. Show gratitude for the small things. Spend some time appreciating the small details that distinguish each culture. Perhaps nothing will stick with your child more than purchasing a freshly made croissant while visiting the Mona Lisa. 11. Utilize public transit. Taking public transit is a cheap way to explore the sights. The vintage trams that wend through Milan were a lot of fun for my kids to ride for hours on end. 12. Bring along portable toys. Bringing along a few small toys not only saves room, but also helps stave off boredom. I've always gone for the vintage approach with Silly Putty and a yo-yo 13. Make picnics a priority. In much of Europe, eating at your own pace is the norm. When my kids were small, after 5 minutes at the dinner table, their tiny French and Italian cousins sat attentively while the youngsters fidgeted. Picnics are a great option while traveling with kids, but my ideal itinerary in Europe would include several dinners at restaurants with Michelin stars. Buying groceries at a market is a cheap way to experience the community. When you go to a grocery store, your children might be shocked to hear that, in many European nations, consumers are expected to bag their own food, and that using a shopping cart costs money. 14. Discover where to get inexpensive flights. Several more recent airlines provide affordable flights to Europe. Cheap flights, for instance, low-cost French bee flights to Paris are available non-stop from NYC, Florida, and San Francisco. Play flies to Reykjavik, Iceland, from Stewart Airport outside of New York City, from where you can connect to flights all around Europe. Consider the following before booking a connection flight: frequent boarding and disembarking, navigating crowded airports to find your gate, and the potential to miss your connecting flight. Pre-purchase a child's lunch for the aircraft. Meals are served on flights to Europe by all major carriers. Think about reserving a kid's lunch in advance. First-class meals are served, so there's less possibility of becoming hangry. Booking a special meal at least 48 hours in advance of departure is usually required by airlines. 16. Bring a stroller for small children. Carry a lightweight, collapsible stroller with you, even if your child hasn't used one in a year. It's great for navigating through congested airports and makes the ideal resting place for naps.